This first presenter I'm going to call up here is Dan Messerschmidt. I've known Dan a long time, had the opportunity to coach his son. Dan's just a great guy, and he has the privilege of introducing our first inductee tonight, Davey Jones.
First off, it's a tough act to follow Dave Hershey. I'm not going to be able to emulate that, but I'm going to do my best. First of all, I was flattered that Davey Jones, the radio icon of Crawford County, would ask me to be his presenter. Yeah, he knows everybody. Everybody knows him, and he asked me. Still not sure why that happened, but I was happy to do it for him. To give you a little background about Davey, how he got to Crawford County. First of all, by his own admission, he said he'd never be in a sports hall of fame if it wasn't for radio. Because his high school sports career and beyond, although I don't think he considered his tremendous softball career here in Crawford County back in the 70s and 80s when he first came. Then in high school, you might not, being in Crawford County, you might not be able to relate to this. He was cut from the football team. So, here, we try to get kids out for football. They have 3,000 kids at Toledo Star High School when Davey was in school, and they didn't have that many uniforms apparently, and he was cut. But, and then he did play baseball. He was a third string catcher, 168 hitter. Now, he won't tell you this, you have to pry this out of him. He did hit 2 home runs as a high school baseball player. So he had some power. Didn't hit for a high average, but he had some power. So, but as it turns out, the fact that he wasn't able to play sports in high school actually led him to the career he has right now. Because he started out, he was able to have time to become a part-time weekend disc jockey at a Toledo radio station. And that got him started in his radio career. And he was also, to make some money, he wasn't making money as a part-time radio guy back then. He was working at a grocery store in Toledo as well. And then he went on to, after he graduated from Start High School, and by the way, you get him going on Start, he doesn't consider Start his alma mater. He considers Crawford County to be his home. And he's more loyal to the schools in Crawford County than he is to his own alma mater. So that's how entrenched Davey has become in Crawford County and in sports history. But when he graduated, he went to the University of Toledo, Ohio State, and Columbus Technical Institute. He earned associate degrees in broadcast business communications. And while he was doing this, he was able to gain on-air experience because with college co-ops, he got to be on air with Columbus area radio stations. And it was in 1970, he was recruited by, you won't recognize this either, I didn't even realize this, Broken Sword Broadcasting Corporation. And that was the operator of WBCO, WBCO-FM at the time. And Davey became the morning drive air personality, and he also had a daily talk show, a morning talk show. But the key to Davey, not just being on, you guys all recognize him as on air. At the station, we recognize him as an advertising representative because that is what keeps us on the air. And Davey was able to, and along with others, and currently we have Claudia Spiegel, we have Kim, Jenny, our station manager. We've had others, Bob Dilly's here tonight, that have helped out. But Davey was the driving force as after he became the sales manager. And he had that position for 35 years until he retired in 2015. And you also know him, well, first of all, he got the WBCO, WQEL later in the sports industry by recommending to Tom that we become the voice of the Cleveland Indians, now the Cleveland Guardians. We have not broken that relationship since. We also at that time had the Cleveland Browns, Ohio State football and basketball, and only the Browns do we not have now. We still have Ohio State as well, and that's thanks to Davey. But the one thing that most of you will recognize him the most for is in 1975, he created the Friday Night Phone Board, a local telephone talk show after high school football and basketball games. And then also in 1992, he formulated the coaches shows, and it's coaches East and West in Gallion and in Bucyrus. And up until the last year, it was at Pizza Hut, and Pizza Hut still sponsors the shows, but now they're at the schools instead of being at the Pizza Hut locations. So Davey's been voted best radio personality by both Bucyrus and Gallion newspapers, and he has been a past president of Bucyrus JCs, and he won their Distinguished Service Award in 1980. And so he's still with us today, still working part-time, both as an advertising rep. He still has his clients, and he also still does the phone board in the fall for football only, and the coaches shows in the fall as well. So we still have Davey in our midst, and he's been married to Joni Mauder, and they've just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Joni, we want to congratulate you for your patience, perseverance, and congratulations on 50 years. That's a long time to be married. And I speak from experience there too. But just a little bit about Davey. I'm going to go off script here. I got to know Davey clear back when in my early days at the Telegraph Forum, and Davey started having what Will Beard really appreciates, special editions of the phone board, and he would invite at that time he did mostly the newspaper guys from Gallion and Bucyrus, and we used to do it downtown at the Bratwurst Festival in a tent. And that's how I established a relationship with Davey. That's been 30 plus years ago. And but one thing we at the radio station would tell you, that while Davey keeps up on sports, he has not really kept up on technology. And just to give you a for instance, if you are ever trying to contact Davey, don't send him a text message, because it's like going into a black hole. He will not read it. He will probably not even know it's there, and he certainly won't respond. And in his words, he says, "It's a phone, call me." So that's kind of where Davey is. Now he has gotten to the point where he's pretty good with emails, and to be able to tell the difference as to whether it's a spam email or it's from Davey. First of all the letters are in lowercase, and there will be at least 2 or 3 misspelled words in the text. So you'll know that he'll be up here and defend himself here shortly. So we appreciate all that Davey's done, not just for the radio station, but for Crawford County sports in general, because without him, coaches have told us many times that when they talk to coaches in other areas, that WBCO, WQEL, Crawford County Now gives more coverage than almost all of them get. So we're very fortunate that Kim has been supportive of that and allowed Davey and myself and Jeff Roberts and some of the others. And we have Josh Stallings, we have our Jared Moore, our 2 play-by-play guys. I think Tim Byerly's here. He does some football color for us. So we really are very fortunate in this area. But it's thanks to Davey Jones, and that's why he is being inducted into the Crawford County Hall of Fame class of 2022. I give you Davey Jones.
Thank you, Dan Messerschmidt, for the introduction and for your friendship for nearly 40 years. And thanks to my old radio colleague, Bob Dilley, for your role in my nomination. Special thanks to my wife, Jo. She got a bigger hand than I did. And Jo, like so many other significant others of coaches and media people, are left at home for a large part of the sports seasons, and I appreciate she's been very supportive of that. Thanks to all my radio station colleagues. Gosh, I was really surprised to see the table here tonight. Joni and I just got back from Florida yesterday about 5 o'clock, and I should thank her for allowing me to come back a week early so I could be a part of this. And I'd like to thank all my radio station colleagues, both past and present, beginning with Tom Moore from Old Broken Sword Broadcasting, who said, come up with a better idea, and then gave me the opportunity to run with it, right up to our current management and programming people, including but not limited to General Manager Kim Jenny, Account Rep Claudia Spiegel, Program Director Will Beard, News Director Randy Bigley, plus our Sports Director Dan Messerschmidt and his host of On Air and Crawford County Now sports writers and photojournalists. I would like to thank you all for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. Also like to thank everyone who was involved with the Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame. This organization puts in a lot of time, and it's a lot more than just honoring some of our legendary athletes and coaches. The thing that's really important about this organization, the Hall of Fame, is saving our history. Everybody on the committee deserves a lot of credit and thanks, especially our president and founder, Don Miller, who could not be here tonight, and all of the very hardworking officers. Carolyn Hubbard does, I'm going to miss some people here, but Carolyn Hubbard, Pam Jordan, Pat Hargis have all done a fantastic job. And to everyone in the Hall of Fame board, past and present, thank you very much. As a point of history, I'm not the very first media person to be honored by this organization. How many of you remember Dick Edmond? Show of hands. That's pretty good. You guys are really old. Yeah. Dick is a long time ago. Dick was a great sports writer. He was the sports editor of the Telegraph Forum when I first came here. A very good newspaper man back in the 60s and 70s. A huge fan of all our local schools and their athletic programs. Dick was the creator of the Jim Walker Award. We're going to hear more about Jim Walker a little bit later on. He's being inducted tonight. He created the Walker Award at Bucyrus High School, and I know Dick Edmond would be very happy that Jim Walker is being inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. I need to let you know that I never met Jim Walker, but I did see Dick Edmond present the very first Jim Walker Award in the fall of 1970 to Al Williams. And 28 years later, I never imagined in 1970, but 28 years later, I saw Dick's son give that award to Joni and my son, Matt, who won the Walker Award in 1998. Folks, there's a lot of other media people who have been contributing and deserve your consideration. Dan Messerschmidt, he's had a career going all the way back to 1985 at the Telegraph Forum, right up to his current position at the North Central Ohio Media Group, including radio and Crawford County Now. WQEL is fortunate to have several other experienced media people. A lot of them got their start at the TF, including Dan Clutter, Don Tudor, Anthony Conchel, Gary Ogle, who is now writing down in South Carolina. And let's not forget Jim Radke. Jim has had a 38-year career at the radio station and did over 3,000 play-by-play radio broadcasts in his 38-year career. How many of you remember Doyle Weaver? A few less. You got to be really old to remember Doyle Weaver. Doyle Weaver was probably the first local broadcaster to do play-by-play in Crawford County, and he was a very, very good play-by-play guy. I learned a lot from Doyle. My old colleague Don Diosi, who helped create the coaches' shows and the Saturday Night Film Board. I should recognize the work of Jeff Roberts, Mike Sparks, Coach Tim Byrie, and up-and-coming young talent Josh Stallings and Jared Moore. There are others, though I can't remember all of them. I would like to remind you about Dave Lace. Young people, how many remember Dave Lace? Dave was an outstanding sports writer for the Galleon Enquirer, and not only a good sports writer, but he wrote a couple books. How many people remember Harry Lynn Martin from Congressional Medal of Honor winner? He wrote a book about it. It was a fantastic book. It told the entire, from the time he graduated from Bucyrus High School right up to his days of Iwo Jima, and it was just a fantastic book, and Dave Lace did a great job. I'm sure there are other media who I've left out. I apologize, but I need your help. That's what we need you to help save our history. I've always looked at this organization as honoring people who have spent a large majority of their careers in service to sports in our community. So we need your help in nominating future members. People who have dedicated their careers to service our local schools and players, coaches, athletic directors, and support personnel. Now again, I'm going to unintentionally leave people out, but you need to fill in the blanks. For example, Bucyrus. Jerry Hargis. Jerry Hargis is a guy who's been coaching football and softball and sports at Bucyrus many times without pay for over 50 years. Roger Sturgeon, a fantastic assistant coach that gave over 30 years. Phil Joseph and Dave Hershey. Dave Hershey deserves it not only from Bucyrus, but for Winford as well. Galleons Dick Predmore, Tim Miller, and Jim Kirk. Colonel Crawford's Mike Cawley, Rick Keller, Ryan Teglovic, John and Jim Sprang, Coach David Sheldon, Kyle Fenner, and Dan Gorbett. Dan has a career at Colonel Crawford still, has been at Galleon as well. Winford, Amy Taylor Sheldon, she's going on 25 years, I think, as the head basketball coach for the girls at Winford. Buzz Coker, the JV coach for the girls, he's been there even longer than that. Steve Moore, head coach at not only Winford, but Colonel Crawford, and Buckeye Central, well over 30 years. Phil Loy, I believe, is here tonight. He deserves consideration. Jan Bates and Mike Tracy. And Crestline's Bob Runyon. Bob's been nominated but has not got in yet. Bob was just a fantastic defensive coordinator for the Crestline Bulldogs. And a young lady who's going to be inducted tonight with the football or the softball program. This young lady was a member of the team, and virtually all these girls could get in on an individual level as well as a team. She's getting in as a team, and this young lady has not only been a member of the team, but she's been active in coaching sports, I think, almost from the time she graduated. That's Jackie Flinders. Is Jackie here tonight? But Jackie deserves consideration. She did a great job. Now, I know I've left some people out, and deserving folks and local athletes from sports and coaches and support personnel. And I look at all of these people that are in the Hall of Fame right now, and it occurred to me, I'm the worst athlete of everybody that's on that list. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But I would like to thank everybody for saving our history, and a special thanks to all of you and the people who listened to the show for the last 47 years, and the clients who supported it. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your consideration, and I do appreciate the recognition you've given me tonight. Thank you so much. Son's basketball coach.
All right, presenting this plaque to Davey Jones, Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022, March 25th, 2023, all Crawford County schools.
Thanks a lot, Dave.